I would like to call the Order Ways and Means meeting for October the 13th, 2022. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Well,
We need to
call the roll first.
Oh, call the roll. Look, I'm moving fast,
That's
huh?
okay.
Can we call the Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Yes, Alderwoman Davis,
Present.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Present.
Alderwoman Howard,
Present.
Alderwoman Spencer, Alderman Oldenburg, Alderwoman Middlebrook,
Present.
Alderman Evans, Chair Boyd.
Present.
We have 5 present, 3 absent.
Thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion to approve. When was the last meeting?
June 9th.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from June 9th.
So
moved.
moved. I'm
Could
sorry.
we call roll, please?
I need it moved in second.
Second.
Okay,
Second.
okay. Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer, Alderman Oldenburg, Alderwoman Middlebrook,
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans, Chair Boyd.
Aye.
I have 5 aye votes.
Thank you very much. And so our next order of business is Board Bill 88, introduced by Alderwoman Annie Rice. Madam Clerk, could you please read the bill?
Board Bill number 88, introduced by Alderwoman Annie Rice, an ordinance approving the petition of owners of real property seeking the creation, extension, and renewal and establishment of the Floral Place Community Improvement District, finding a public purpose for the creation, extension, renewal, and establishment of Floral Place Community Improvement District, and containing a severability clause and an emergency clause.
The petition must be discussed and passed first. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. And so we'll have Alderwoman Annie Rice to speak.
Sure. Thank you so much, Madam Chair and members of the Ways and Means Committee. This is I believe what do we say, the third renewal of, or I think it's at least the second renewal, maybe third renewal of the Floral Place Community Improvement District. So bringing back they actually use a flat fee that's connected from property owners on the Floral Place Boulevard over here in the Shaw neighborhood. So there's a lot of documents in your folders in the drive today regarding this approval, this reapproval. I think, Madam Chair, were you just saying that the notice needs to be approved first, or I have Mr. Anthony Hoy here. He's the director of the district at the moment to talk about things, but what do you think the best order to go in would be?
It should be discussed.
Okay.
The petition should be discussed, yeah, and then pass.
Got it. All right. Well, in that case, I will go ahead and introduce Mr. Anthony Hoy. If you want to swear him in, that would be great. And then I'll let him give a presentation on the Floral Place District and kind of the signature gathering efforts and what they're going forward with here.
Okay, thank you. And so, Mr. Hoy, I'm new. This is my first time swearing people in, so work with me here, okay?
You bet.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
So help me God, yes.
All right, thank you, sir. All righty. Now you're on.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here today. As Annie mentioned, my name is Anthony Hoy. I'm the board president for the Flora Place Community Improvement District. I'm also a proud resident of the Shaw neighborhood for the last 28 years. If I could, I'd like to just provide kind of a brief history of the Flora Place Community Improvement District. The Flora Place CID was initially voted on and put into place in 2007. At that time, it was approved for a 5-year term. Its first renewal was voted on in 2011 and approved for a 10-year term at that time, which became effective in 2012. This spring, it was voted on and approved for a second 10-year renewal to become effective in January of 2023. For this second renewal, the overall approval percentage by the residents of Flora was approximately 68%. We have 6 blocks that make up Flora Place. The CID renewal passed on every block, with percentages being anywhere from 56% up to 76%. In 2006, when the initial CID was passed, really its primary goal at that time was to provide security services for the street. The Shaw neighborhood at that time was experiencing a dramatic upturn in crime, and Flora Place was certainly not immune to it. Within 2 years of the CID being in place, we saw significant progress with overall crime numbers on the street dropping by over 90%. And while the initial CID's focus was primarily to curtail criminal activity, its funding also went to other purposes, with landscaping improvements on the Flora Parkway being key amongst them. In the course of 15 years, we've seen nearly $100,000 worth of beautification efforts take place in the Flora Parkway, with more to come. Another component of the Flora CID is our community traditions. We hold an annual meeting each year for residents, an egg hunt every spring for kids, an end of summer picnic, and our Luminaria tradition on Christmas Eve, which extends down both sides of the street for all 6 blocks. We also help to support the Shaw Art Fair, which took place just this last weekend. And in conjunction with that, with the Missouri, the Best of Missouri Market and the Missouri Botanical Gardens. We also hold fun community activities for the neighborhood, such as daytime trick-or-treating the Sunday before Halloween, along with a children's bike parade for the 4th of July and Halloween. Really, all told, the Flora Place CID has been a success for the residents of the street. It will continue to evolve over time. In our latest renewal effort and passage, the cost to residents was raised from $500 to $750. And this was the first increase in the history of the CID, primarily to account for current and future inflation, which we all know too well about today. We have been able to decrease the percentage of the CID focused just specifically on security and devote more monies to the landscaping and archival history of the street. Residents are encouraged to play an active role with the CID. Our board meetings are open to the public. Our goal is for the voices of all residents on the street to be heard. That's really what helps and shapes where our budget is to be spent on an annual basis. So hopefully the information that I provided is helpful. I'm certainly open to any and all questions you might have, and otherwise, thanks for the time today.
Thank you. Tracy, could you please, because I'm gonna ask people for questions, could you read from the list, because I don't have it in front of me, in order for who could ask questions?
George Suggs.
No, any committee people, any,
Okay,
if
No
they
problem.
have any questions.
okay, no
For
problem.
Mr. Floyd, so, Mr. Hoy, I'm sorry, so far.
Alderwoman Davis. Alderman Vaccaro.
Well, Alderwoman Davis just got on.
Alderwoman Davis.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Alderman Vaccaro.
I also have no questions.
Alderwoman Middlebrook.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Chair Boyd.
Alderwoman Howard,
Howard, I'm sorry.
I have no questions. Thank you very much.
Alderman Odeberg,
Oh, wait.
No questions at the moment. Thank you.
Okay, I have no questions at this time. Okay, and so we have some other speakers.
Yeah, it looks like there's a couple of folks with hands raised in the attendees. Mr. Clerk, let me know that they would be over there. So it's your call on moving them over to speak as well. Madam Chair, would that be okay with you if they come over? Oh,
Yeah, we're just trying to get them over with the new system. He's just trying to
Sure.
get.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can do it, Alderwoman. I'll
Promote.
put them as a panelist. Give me.
Okay,
Let her know you did.
Okay, I just made him a panelist, so his hand should be raised.
I have a Mr. George Suggs. Is it somebody else?
Jackson is over here as well.
Okay, here's Jackson. Okay. It's just those two.
Yes, ma'am, they're the only two they had their hands raised.
Okay, Mr. Suggs and Mr. Jackson, I'll need to swear you in.
Right.
So when I started, then you could just put your name in, okay? So do you,
George
Mr.
Suggs.
Suggs and Jackson, okay. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and the whole truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, Jackson?
I do.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. And so I don't know who was next to speak, Jackson or Suggs, because both of you all came on the same time, so it's kind of kooky.
Go ahead, Mr. Suggs.
Okay, thank you. So my name is George Suggs. My family has lived here at 4103 Flora since 1990 and been residents of the city since 1981. When we moved here on Flora in 1990, Shaw was experiencing a lot of crime as a neighborhood, and that continued through the 90s, and I think a lot of people are very aware of that. I have never supported the SID, and I am here to speak against it today. First of all, I want to make it clear that this is not a vote that is done by secret ballot. Mr. Hoy used the term voted on. It's not voted on. This is done by soliciting consents from property owners, with each property having one vote, each parcel on Flora. So this is not a process with a secret ballot, and I just wanted to make that clear. My objection to the SID is really twofold. One is one of economic fairness. If you look at the way the SID is funded, it is funded, as was stated, by a flat rate charged on your property tax bill based on the parcel that you own on Flora Place. If you look at that, and if you're familiar with Flora Place, you know that the parcels in the 3600 block and in the 4200 block are bigger and have homes that are substantially more valuable, and there are fewer per block. So for example, the 3600 block, the north side of the street, has 10 residences, and they are big. And the south side of the street has 9, so there's a total of 19 parcels that would pay the $750 on what is the most valuable real estate on Flora, which means they contribute $14,250 under this new plan per year. My block, the 4100 block, has 30 total parcels. my block will contribute $22,500 to the SID. Now, keep in mind that 80% of the SID money goes to security, which means somebody driving around patrolling the street. If you look at the number of parcels and the number of blocks, there is a substantial inequity as to how we're asked to fund this. It's not based on front footage. It's not based on the size of your lot. It is the parcel. And when you have a street where homes range in value from the 300s to a home that just sold for almost $1 million, it is inequitable to charge people a flat rate for the funding of the SID. So not only is it inequitable based on what the blocks contribute, but it is inequitable based upon what the individual homeowner or parcel owner is asked to pay. Mr. Hoy correctly stated that in the first couple years of the SID, statistically, crime went down on Flora. What is not clear is how that really correlates to the security arrangements of having somebody from high-tech security or another security service patrolling periodically on the street. To me, there is something of a disconnect between simply looking at crime statistics, including property crime, crimes against persons, and comparing it to the blocks around Flora. And then finally, I think there's this big public policy issue of carving out a 6-block corridor down the middle of a contiguous neighborhood like Shaw, having that one group provide for its private police to drive the street and its alleys and to exclude the rest of the neighborhood. Crime is like the weather. It doesn't stop because somebody has a property line someplace or that there's a street. It overflows those boundaries, and the result of having carved ourselves off from the rest of the neighborhood is frankly not good for the city and not good for Shaw, and it should not be approved. I am happy to pay the money on behalf of myself and my family. I don't like what it's spent on, and I don't like the fact that I don't think it's an equitable distribution of the cost based on the fact that it's a flat rate based on parcels. It's just not fair, and it shouldn't be approved that way again. There maybe are other ways to do this, but this is not the way. And so I would appreciate it if you would consider not approving this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Suggs, for your comments, and I appreciate you coming to speak in regards to this. Now we have Ms. Jackson.
Wasn't sure if you were going to unmute or whether I should.
Oh.
Hi,
Yeah, you fine.
my name is Jane Jackson. I also happen to be the vice president of the Flora Place CID board. I've been a Shaw and Flora Place resident for more than 20 years. And to be honest, I knew very little about Flora Place when I moved onto the street in the late 1990s. I knew even less about the Flora Protective Association, other than it helped defend the street against a group of nuns who were attempting to move in violation of zoning and covenants at that time. I believe my partner and I signed up for the initial CID in 2007 that shifted from Flora Place Protective Association to the CID. And I vaguely remember somebody knocking on my door and talking about something we'd received in the mail and asking for my support for that renewal. And since my home on the 4,000 block or my garage or my cars had been broken into more than 5 times or tampered with, I'll be honest, the extra security sounded like a good idea for me. About 6 years ago, I became more involved with the CID as a block director. Jerry McDonough, the president of the CID at that time, noted that we did not have a block director on the 4,000 block and asked if I'd be interested. And I said, sure. And then I became more involved and aware of the CID. And I found out that it was more than just security, although it is a bulk of the funding there. It was about our family traditions, our egg hunts, our Halloween trick-or-treating during the day, safety for our littles. And so they don't have to compete against the folks who come out that are a little older who deserve to trick-or-treat. And then the Luminaria on Christmas Eve, in addition to our annual meetings. Although the city does take care of the median that lines this beautiful street, the Flora Place Park is improved by the CID funds. We just finished the limestone border on the 4,200 block. More to follow there, and we're going to be planting, I think, 1,000 bulbs in November. As I became more involved, I did realize, though, that we need to do a better job of reaching out to our neighbors. And I certainly appreciate Mr. Suggs expressing the reasons he does not support the CID. It gives us more information to understand how we can better serve our community. But I will say, in the past 5 years, we have created a more robust email group. Our block directors have made sure that 130 of our 154 homes are registered with that group. We produce a yearly directory so that neighbors have each other's phone numbers. That's important since in the last 6 years, I think 20% of our folks are new here on the street. We've also started to recruit new board members who more adequately represent the demographics here of our street. Our annual meeting is now held in a venue that's big enough for all of our residents to attend. Our block meetings, or our board meetings, are held at a local church instead of the house of the president or one of the members, so that more people can attend if they would like to, and not be put off by being in someone else's home. As part of the renewal process, we reached out to neighbors through median meetings. We wanted to hear what concerns were and what they expected and needed from the CID. We promised we wouldn't go door to door as in the past. Instead, I don't want to say we forced neighbors to come out of their homes and go to the Wild Carrot, a great venue here in the Shaw neighborhood, to sign their support on an execution page that was witnessed by notaries. I think more than 68% folks did that. So we try to more consistently share our information with our block directors and our residents using that email. And we have finally formed a working group to address probably our most controversial aspect of the CID, that safety and security piece. As Anthony said, we're looking at a variety of things there. And I'm hopeful that the members of this working group, which I will say, to my knowledge, includes at least 3 members who are not in support of the CID, because it's important for those voices to be heard as we move forward. Finally, we've actually finally addressed a line item in our budget in this CID renewal that allows for us to begin to digitize our amazing history of this longest acting neighborhood group in the city of St. Louis. We're pretty excited about that. I know I've taken probably far too much of your time. I thank you, Madam Chairman, and the Ways and Means Committee for listening, but I wanted you to know how important Flora Place is to me and that it continue.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jackson. I appreciate you. And I appreciate all the speakers that have came today to speak for and against the CID. I'll turn it over to the Alderwoman to see if she has anything else she wants to add to it, please.
Sure. I at one point I saw Alderwoman Howard's hand, so I'm open for more questions since these speakers have maybe put some more ideas in your in your mind.
You can disregard that. Ms. Jackson answered the questions that I had.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Did
Great.
any other members, committee members have any questions or comments? Because I didn't see any hands up. I apologize, Alderwoman Howard. Okay,
Not a problem.
seeing no hands. Oh, Alderwoman Davis, yes, ma'am.
I didn't necessarily have a question, but I did want to have a comment. And I thank Ms. Jackson for mentioning the history of the Shaw neighborhood. For those who don't really know all of the history, they were one of the most progressive neighborhood group that fought against crime in the 90s in the city of St. Louis. They were the ones who brought our COPS program to where it should have been, and it forced us as a city of St. Louis to do the things that were necessary to have more policemen doing that job. Also, they used every tool in the toolbook and the toolkit rather to minimize problems in their neighborhood. They were the reason why we got free cell phones to use for our neighborhood watch throughout the city, where we all formalized walking in our neighborhoods to look for problems, whether it was just simply lights out, street lights out, or whatever. So I appreciate the fact that they're still so strong and so determined, whether you're for or against. But this is what it should look like in neighborhoods for people to work together, and most especially on behalf of a better quality of life. And I just wanted to share that because a lot of people have put a lot of blood, sweat, tears, whatever, into making that community a better community. Because believe me, if you think you know crime, Shaw had it all. So it has come a long way. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman Davis. Alderman Oldenburg.
Yes, I have a question for the sponsor. Alderwoman, these are becoming kind of prolific, or at least topical parts of public policy as it relates to the creation of special taxing districts, specifically with the majority of those uses for public safety. I assume since you're sponsoring and carrying this bill, this is an agenda and a policy item that you support.
Yeah, thank you, Alderman, for the question. I will be honest that this is a bit tricky for me. This is I am grateful that this organization exists, that they are strong here in the Shaw neighborhood. The Flora Place CID has not been without its challenges, without its tragedies. I do want to acknowledge the loss of Vonderette Myers in October of 2014. It is, and there have been residents that don't live on Flora Place that have reached out with their concerns about continuing to just have this one block or this one street in the middle of the neighborhood have private security. So this is complicated for me. It is complicated because I represent this area. They brought forth more than, I think it was 68% of the parcels signed on in support of this. And it is my job as the alderperson to represent the best interests of all of the folks in the neighborhoods that I represent. So it's complicated for me. I wouldn't say that I'm entirely opposed to it, because I think that this new group this new leadership that is working on the CID is moving in a good direction. Where Mr. Hoy and I have had a number of conversations, and with Jackson as well, about what does security look like, particularly given the challenges with secondary police officers. They're moving to a system where they're using more security officers that are not secondary police officers, and that has a shift in tone as well. That it's not a police officer that is checking on the street. It allows them to be more reliable, to be more on schedule as far as meeting the needs of the street here, patrolling the alleys, getting to know the neighbors. So they're working on bolstering a more proactive relationship. And I will say, there has been a lot of changeover in Flora Place. There have been a lot of activities that have included the rest of the neighborhood in really positive ways as well. And that's exciting. Everything from the 4th of July bike parade that brings kids in. They have a wonderful Halloween party for kids that's in the middle of the median. And I think some of maybe the old attitudes of sort of Flora Place against the rest of the Shaw neighborhood have lessened some in the last few years. And I think that that's really positive as well. So I thank you for the opportunity to talk about it, because it's complex for me. So it is not I don't support them in all instances. And I think that folks should take care, kind of as the newest CID was created, that Alderwoman Schweitzer supported or sponsored as well. There are ways that we can go about these types of things that can be really beneficial, both for the folks in the CID and neighbors.
I appreciate that. I certainly wasn't trying to put you in a trick bag. I only raise it because I know that I think you're going to see more of this. I know there are neighborhood associations in the communities that I service that are also contemplating this with the use of technology as well to help. Because I think there is a tone throughout the city that the cavalry is not coming, and we're going to have to do it ourselves in the sense that for whatever reason, the tone is struck in leadership with this administration that more cops is bad. So I think you're just going to see more and more of this. That's the only reason I think I wanted to raise it, because I'm trying to gauge general temperature that this may be the new way of policing neighborhoods, given the resource constraint, given the recruitment issues with the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, given the fact that we're not giving them pay raises commensurate with other area municipalities. So those are just issues that I think I want to make sure I keep at the top of mind for the committee members as well as the other members of the board. Thank you, Madam Chair. I have nothing further.
Thank you. And on that note, the public hearing has stopped. And so I kind of jumped the gun. I went with the cart before the horse. So I let the alderperson speak and then announced the public hearing has stopped. So the public hearing has stopped. We have no more hands. We did have alder people speak. Is there any other alder people that wanted to speak on this board bill? Okay. All right, I'll turn it back over to our sponsor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think that the strength of our neighborhoods is the strength of our city. And that is something that Alderwoman Davis spoke to very clearly about how the Shaw neighborhood rallied together in a number of different ways to promote safety here, and has really transformed this area. Public safety means a lot of things. Security forces are one of those, but it's also, these community activities that the Flora Place Association has are part of that public safety. They're very intentional about getting to know their neighbors, about showing up with welcome baskets when new folks move in, and about making sure that they're connected so that if something comes up, you've got a neighbor's phone number to call, you've got somebody to knock on the door that's a familiar face. And that's one of the things that has kept me in the Shaw neighborhood, is that our neighbors, our neighborhood association is so strong outside of Flora Place as well. And so I would encourage any of these neighborhoods that are looking towards what makes us safer, to examine all of the different ways that public safety that manifests. And a lot of that is good old fashioned looking out for your neighbor, and getting to know folks and really building those relationships. That goes a long way towards building a culture of safety and community care. So with that all being said, I just want to reiterate again that a lot of work was done here to gather 68% of support. There's breakdown in Jane Jackson's letter of support that's in the written support documents. You can see some breakdowns on sort of block by block about what percentage of parcels supported. On page 119 of the petition itself, you can see the budget that is set out. So if that is a question, we also have discussed in this process, making sure that this SID board is compliant with the state statutes and its ordinances as far as bringing a budget and a plan to the Board of Aldermen every year as required. That's something that had fallen off, and we're getting back on top of that. And I appreciate their willingness to do that as well. And I think that's all I have for now. So I would appreciate your favorable consideration. I'm not sure what the motion needs to be on the petition, but then for the Board Bill 88 as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And so, so did you make a motion to? So we need a motion.
I'll make a motion
Okay.
that we pass, there's a Board Bill 88, well,
Correct.
with a do pass recommendation.
Second,
Could we have a roll call?
Previous role, but I think since Alderman Oldenburg's here, he may object to
Right.
previous role.
Correct objection. I'd like to vote. Thanks.
Alderwoman Davis,
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Get your down here.
Alderwoman Davis,
I'll pass for right now.
Alderman Vaquero,
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Howard,
aye.
Alderman Oldenburg,
I vote aye.
Alderwoman Middlebrook,
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans, Alderwoman Boyd.
Aye.
I have 5 aye votes.
I need to
Alderwoman
vote
Davis, I'm sorry, Alderwoman Davis.
present.
Okay. 5 aye votes, 1 present.
On your vote, we have passed Board Bill 88.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So, do we have any other business? Any announcements? Could I get a motion to adjourn?
No, ma'am, we have to excuse the members
Oh.
that are absent.
You know what? And I thought you did that at the beginning. That's why I said that. So could we excuse the aldermen that are not present?
That's Alderwoman Spencer and Alderwoman Evans.
Okay, thank you. Now, could we get a motion to adjourn? He said,
We have to get a, we have to get a motion and a second.
So could I get a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Can I get a-
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.